What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be learning how to change the fluid on the transfer case. So for that, pretty simple, you're going to need about 2 quarts of transmission ATF plus 4. That's the stuff that's used in Chrysler vehicles. And with that, we'll get started. So you'll have to excuse the camera angles here. There's not a lot of space underneath my Jeep. So I've got a tarp laid down just in case I spill any oil, so that'll catch it. But I also have an oil catch stand that I'll be using as well. In order to get to the drain plug on the transfer case, we're gonna have to remove the skid plate that protects the transfer case. So that's just 4 bolts. They're here, and then on the frame rails on both sides over there as well, over by the gas tank skid plate. So we'll go ahead and take those off. So it's an 18mm that you need. And as it turns out, I don't have an 18mm socket, so I'll be using my wrench. Looks like this bolt got smashed on a rock at one point in time. It's all bent out of shape. Right there, it's all burred up. Wasn't even able to get the box into the wrench on there. I'm going to leave this one in here because I am doing this by myself, so I'm going to have to find some way to hold this weight when the whole thing comes loose. And then I'm not going to actually take it all the way off. I'm just going to swing it out of the way a bit here. And I'll just let it hang there while we do this. That way, it's less of a hassle to put back on by myself. So if you look right here, that is your drain plug. And right here, that is your fill plug, right? So it's going to drain out of here, obviously, right? And once it's completely drained, you're going to use this plug right here to fill it back up. So we'll get to that when we get there. What I would highly recommend doing is taking out your fill plug first, right? Because it's not, you're not going to be able to fill it all the way up from the drain plug. So if you take this out and drain all the fluid out, and then something happens, you're not able to get the fill plug out, guess what? You're stuck with an empty transfer case until you can get it to a shop, right? So make sure that this is going to come out before this. This is not the right tool for this, but I'm using a T55 bit to remove these. Now it should be an Allen bit to remove these, right? So I'm going to make sure that that top one will come loose first. And the other thing that it'll do is it'll allow air to get in, making it easier for the fluid to drain out of the bottom. Whew, dirty. I'm going to go ahead and just pop out the top one. It's not in there too tight at all. It's not an issue. Let's scoot out of the way. So you see that it's starting to come out. It's kind of that red fluid. In fact, this fluid actually doesn't look bad at all. But you should change it about every 30,000 miles. And I'm at about 40,000, so it's time. I'm going to set that plug aside because we're going to clean them. And then this one right down here should have a magnet on it. We'll inspect it to make sure that there's no metal shavings or metal chunks on it. Here we go. All right. So it's starting to drip out. So I'm going to hold this pan up. I'm going to carefully remove this and just let that baby drain. And you see that? Got my hands right in the way. See that red color? That is actually the color that it should be. So looking at the bottom of this plug and how well you can see it, but there is no metal shavings on it. There's no large chunks, and there is a magnet on there, and it is completely clean. So that is a good thing. So we're just gonna let this drain. We're gonna go clean these. So inspecting these two again, right? There's no metal shavings on them, there's no metal chunks. They're both actually really clean. The fluid didn't look too dirty itself either. Probably could have gone a little bit longer, maybe another season without changing the fluid. However, I prefer to do maintenance by the mile. So these are good to go, right? And really without filming, this job would only take about 10-15 minutes. So these are all ready to go back in. Okay, now the thread sealant's applied to both of those. It's ready. We're ready to go ahead and put back in the bottom one. And we'll put the bottom one in, and then we'll start filling up the transfer case. Just get that started by hand to make sure that the threads are all met up nicely. And there we go. Gently tighten that in there. And we're ready to start filling it up. Well, I got this cool thing here to fill up my differentials, but while it works for the differentials, it has to be able to be higher than the thing you're trying to fill up. So it doesn't work with the transfer case because I can't get the bottle up high enough. So I'm gonna have to figure out something else. Looks like we're gonna pause this video so I can run to the store. All right, so I had to run to the store. I had to grab one of these little pumps here because my typical delivery system wasn't gonna cut it. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put this down inside the bottle here. Find the one that I already opened. And we'll start filling up this transfer case. And you're just gonna fill it up until it starts to just kind of leak out of that, and that's full, right? So you don't want to overfill it. Fluid come up through the straw there. See how it's that red color? It's about the same color it was coming out. It was a little bit darker than that. All right, and there you have it. That is full. So you see how it's starting to kind of leak out of there a little bit, which is why we have the tarp here. It's perfectly fine. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the fill cap in there and tighten it down. And after that, we're all done. Double check to make sure that we got this tight enough. That's good. And that just a little more, that's good. And after a little bit of driving, you'll want to check these again to make sure that there's not any leaking, right? So you want to make sure that you clean these up. So the last step is just to put that skid plate back up the same way that we took it down, and you're all done. Hey, so one last note to close off this video before I get inside, because it's getting hot out here. Make sure to always properly dispose of all of your fluids. ATF fluid can get recycled with oil. Take it to any auto parts store and you can dump it there. Just make sure not to mix it with anything else, right? Just oil and ATF. Gear oil works as well. Keep it separate from coolant as well, though, if you're draining coolant. You know what I mean? But just make sure that you properly dispose of all those chemicals. Yeah. So thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll see y'all next time.